The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gam Podcast Network is brought to you by Hellenic Fantasy. Their company customers play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. And welcome everyone to the Tennis Gam Podcast here on the Sports Gam Podcast Network. It's currently Friday night, November 7th, around 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Moselle Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the final matches of the ATP calendar for the ATP Tour Finals. We have the final in Athens and the final in Metz taking place on Saturday. We'll get into those two matchups in a second. Before we get into the preview of those two finals, a reminder to support the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube. A reminder, you can also find the podcast on Spotify and Apple, audio only, but leave a rating and a review if you check it out that way. So once again, watch it a couple of ways. You can either get the video component on YouTube or just listen to it audio only, Spotify or Apple, but leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple, like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Plus, a reminder, you can check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great tennis merch. We have sweatshirts, we have t-shirts, we have mugs, different colors, very affordable and very comfortable. I think you'll enjoy what we have available, so check it out if you want to. Plus, a reminder, you can also check out the other shows of the network, including college basketball, because it started this week. Make sure to subscribe to the College Experience for your college picks. Free podcasts every day. And a reminder, you can download the SGPN app for free college basketball picks. So check that out if you are interested in betting on college basketball. So starting off with the recap of what happened in the semis. Starting off with the lock and dog picks. Overall decent. Not great, not terrible. Ended up splitting. For the lock and a loss with Djokovic, team total over 12.5 at minus 140. Pretty annoying loss there because we ended up seeing a very, very good start to the second set. Djokovic won the first set 6-3. Then Hanfmann was up a break. So Hanfmann was up 3-1, needed 2 more games from him. Instead, he got buried and lost 5 of the last 6 games. So we were in a great spot. We ended up having Djokovic winning a set, and then he was down a break 3-1 in the second set. Hanfmann, who had only been broken 2 times in the entire event going into the final, got broken back-to-back service games and ended up losing 6-4 in the second set. It's pretty annoying there, as we had a pretty decent script, and it just didn't work out that way. Picked up a loss there for the lock. For the dog, though, nice and easy. We had Norrie and Sonego over 2.5 sets at plus 139. Never in doubt, Sonego won the first set. Then you saw Norrie coast to a 6-2 win in the second set. Eventually did win the match in 3. But either way, nice, easy win there for the dog and a nice price. So once again, we ended up splitting. Could have been worse. Now, for the actual recap of the semis, pretty, I'd say, similar days in Athens and Metz. You had one straightforward match and one very competitive one. So for Athens, ended up seeing Djokovic beat Hanfmann in straight sets. He looked very good. Nothing else to add. Was down a break in the second set, broke back immediately, and then broke again. But Joker looks very good. He's trying to once again win every ATP title because this one was a new tournament. So he has a chance to add to his collection on Saturday. We'll see if he does so. Now, for the other match in Athens, it was absolute chaos. So we did like the over in the match. Thought it would go 3 sets. However, we did pick Korda to win, and he did not. Now, it looked like it was going to be over quickly because Korda lost the first set 6-0 and couldn't move. And we figured he might end up quitting because Korda has a history of retiring with injuries. However, he found his form. He was actually down a break as well in the second set, broke back immediately, won the set, and then somehow had a match point. It was not on his serve, but still, he had a match point after losing the first set 6-0 and trailing by a break in the second set. Had an advantage in the 5-4 return game. Didn't convert, and then eventually ended up seeing Musetti get the break the next game, and then eventually held out to win. But either way, Korda gave it a good run. Very weird start to the match where he basically punted the entire first set. But Musetti now is 1 match away from making the ATP Finals. I'll get into that in a second, but he does need to win this match in order to qualify for Turin. So nice job by Musetti. We'll see if he actually gets the job done. Has a long history of losing in finals, but either way, point is a nice job by him to survive the adversity and to find a way to outlast Korda, and was a very fun match. Now for Metz, ended up seeing a similar story, but reversed. The early match was the close one, and the late match was a joke. So the early match, Norrie won in 3. Standard for Norrie so far in the event. He's dropped a set in every single round, and he's been looking sharp. So nice job by Norrie. Looking at the actual path so far, once again, beat Royer, beat Kaza, beat Jacquet, beat his first non-Frenchman on Friday, beating Sonego, who's a former champion, in 3. He looks good. I mean, I said a couple episodes ago, Norrie, I thought looked very good for a chance to win the event, and he's in the final. So we'll see how he looks. For his opponent, another lefty that loves to rally, Tien, who had a very favorable draw with Sacco in the semis. Nice run for him. Kind of ran out of gas, and Tien buried him as he ended up winning 6-1, 6-4. So once again, 2 competitive matches, 2 that were straightforward, and now we have an interesting collection of matches on Saturday. You have Djokovic against Musetti. Musetti has more, I'd say, at risk because he's going for a spot in Turin. Joker going to try to complete the, once again, entire ATP Tour because they added this event and he can win it in its first inaugural season. But for Metz, you have Norrie taking on Tien. Now, for the recap of what happened for the outrights, yeah, we cooked. Nothing else to really add. For the quarters, I went through those last episode. We did very well, so not going to recap those again. For the outrights, though, Korda winning would have been very nice because we had Korda at 10-1 and Djokovic at 170, so would have had automatic win in Athens if Korda got the job done. Is what it is. We still have Joker, who's a favorite, decent-sized favorite in the final, and we got him at plus 170. For Metz, though, we absolutely cooked. We took 4 people. Bublik ended up losing at 350. Saw Mutet lose at 12-1. But we have Tien at 9-1, and we have Norrie at 16-1. Guaranteed win for the Metz title. So nice, I'd say, overall result for us, especially for the prices. I mean, Bublik getting there would have been fine anyway, because anytime you win outright, it's still nice. But 9-1 and 16-1, guaranteed win is definitely what you hope for when you give out multiple outrights. So either way, got the exact matchup we wanted, and now we get to coast and watch and enjoy the final. Of course, I'll give out picks anyway for the Metz final. But a reminder, if you backed my outright picks, you can take a nap and just enjoy the show because we have both guys to win the event. So either way, cannot complain. So chance of sweep, we'll see if Djokovic wins in Athens. And once again, we win Metz no matter who wins in the final. So can't complain. Pretty good results for us in the outrights, and we'll see what happens in the finals on Saturday. Now, for the women's side, got to mention the WTA finals. Ended up seeing 2 very close matches. So Rybakina beat Pegula in 3, lost the first set, came back and won. And you ended up seeing Sabalenka beat Anisimova in 3 sets. So point is you have the 2 players who have been coasting the entire event who are now facing off in the final. You have Rybakina taking on Sabalenka, which sounds pretty standard based on the fact that both players were the best players in the entire tournament so far. Both players are undefeated. They're both 4-0. So it's been a very, very fun event so far. Decent amount of drama, except for the fact that the group winners of both groups are still undefeated. And there was basically no drama for the chalk, so to speak. But you had no Goff, you had no Swiatek in the semis, which was unexpected, but you got the Rybakina and Sabalenka final. We all kind of expected once we saw them play in the group stage, and now we'll see who wins that one. But once again, it should be a fun final in the WTA finals between Sabalenka and Rybakina. Anyway, let's wrap it up for the recap. Time to run into the breakdown of the matches on Saturday. So starting off with the actually, before we get into the actual breakdown of the matches, a reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, Book.ag. So using to bet on football, tennis, basketball, college football, college basketball, you name it. They have a bunch of options on the platform. Use a prop builder as well if you want some player props. You can also use crypto for funding your account for getting nice payouts. And a reminder, head to mybook.ag, use code SGPN for a special 100% bet back bonus up to 500 customers. Book.ag promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig, so you can check out the number one prediction market for sports in America. Get a great prices, reduced juice. Check it out. Available in 30 plus states. Download the Novig app when you do so. Spend just $5, $50 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. Get the extra Novig. Promo code SGPN. Spend $5 $50 in bonus funds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the recap of what happened in the semis. Time to go on into the breakdown of the 2 matches on Saturday. Starting off with the first match, according to the calendar, Djokovic-Musetti is half an hour before Norrie and Tien, so we'll follow it that way. Djokovic, of course, is favored in this one, to no surprise. Minus 220, Musetti's around plus 190. For the spread, minus 2.5 for Djokovic, plus 2.5 for Musetti, and the over-under is around 23.5. Set spread, Joker straight sets is plus 130. Musetti to win a set is minus 165. The over 2.5 sets is around plus 139. Now, for the path so far, Joker has not dropped a set yet. He's been good. Had a bit of a sweat against Borges for a bit. Got the job done. Was down a break against Hoffman in the second set. Came back and won that one in straight sets anyway. So Djokovic has beaten decent competition. Beating Hoffman, beating Borges and beating Tabilo. Not amazing competition, but still, he's been good in the process, winning every match in straight sets. Musetti, though, has had a tougher go of it. Beat Wawrinka and Mueller. So I'd say two guys that are not exactly great on hard court. Mueller did win a hard court title earlier this year, back in January, but not exactly known as being a hard court star, so to speak. And he beat Korda in the third round in 3 sets. Musetti, though, has dropped the set to Wawrinka and to Korda, so not exactly playing that well in terms of consistency, but wins are wins, and Musetti needs them. Because Musetti, once again, is 1 win away from making the ATP Finals in Turin. Now, there is a funny scenario that a lot of people are throwing out there for social media, etc., which is Djokovic, who is not officially committed yet to playing in the ATP Tour Finals. There is a chance that Djokovic wins the match, and really no matter what happens, Djokovic will drop out of the ATP Finals, and Musetti will get in automatically. Now, Djokovic said he's still mulling his options over. He does live in Greece now, so he's not in Monte Carlo, so he is close to his home in general now. There's a chance he just stays in Greece and ends up not actually going, because we know that physically he's been very, very selective, and he's won this event before. I don't think he really cares much about the ATP Finals, especially when you've had some fitness issues. We ended up seeing it in the 6 King Slam. And to be honest, Alcaraz and Sinner, I don't see much of a chance. So either way, Joker might end up sitting out entirely for the ATP Finals. So in hindsight, this match might not matter. But Musetti, of course, wants to earn it himself. So Musetti's going to go for it. Joker, though, does want to win a title in his new home state, his new home country. And on top of that, he also wants to win the first ever iteration of the event. So point is, both guys are motivated, but Musetti is arguably more motivated, trying to make his first ever ATP Finals. Does it matter? Not really. I think that they're both going to try to win, but that is one scenario people are throwing out there, which is Djokovic winning and then ends up dropping out of the event anyway, and Musetti gets listed to the ATP Finals as a replacement. Either way, though, for the head-to-head history, it has been quite ugly. Djokovic owns them, and it's really not that close. Now, I'm going to point out that Musetti did beat him in Monte Carlo in 2023. That's it. It's the only time he's ever beaten him. So, once again, not a good resume at all. Faced off many times here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's 8-1 against Musetti. And once again, the most recent win for Musetti was in Monte Carlo in 2023. Joker, though, since that match, has won 5 in a row, and he's only lost 2 sets. Both of them were in 1 match in the French Open. 2024, Joker did win in 5. Besides that, though, Joker has won 3 straight in straight sets. So Joker on hard court as well has faced Musetti a couple of times, and to no surprise at all, he has not dropped a set. He's currently 3-0. All 3 wins were in straight sets. So once again, not exactly a shock that Musetti is a dog in this matchup. Now, Musetti's been playing fine. Korda, though, took him to the brink, and Korda punted an entire set. So I am a bit concerned that Musetti, even though he won, was on the ropes against Korda, who was clearly not playing at his best for most of the match. And Djokovic, though, on the other hand, has been coasting. So we know Musetti has made a couple finals this year. They have not gone in his favor, either in the clay season or on the hard court slate. The point is, I think Joker's going to win. But do I think the actual pricing seems fair? I get Musetti, you could argue, for motivation, but I still don't buy that angle. So I think the line is too cheap. I think Joker should be like minus 250, minus 260. I think Joker is a guy who, once again, 8-1 in the head-to-head. He's 3-0 on hard court against Musetti. Musetti's gotten better on hard court, still finding ways to not win titles on hard court, which we've seen for the last couple of years. For example, did lose to Tabilo in the final about a month ago. But I think Djokovic wins, end of the day. I think he's the better server in this matchup, which should matter. And Musetti, we know, serve-wise, can be vulnerable. And I think Djokovic will be aggressive. Musetti can be aggressive too, but he likes to be a little bit passive from behind the baseline. I think Joker ends up serving well enough to win. Give me Joker. I think straight sets has value for this one. Once again, he's won 3 straight in straight sets. Musetti's never won a set against him on hard court, so based on that, give me Joker in straight sets at around plus 130. Moving on to the other match here between Tien and Norrie. So for this one, you're looking at Norrie being a pretty decent dog here. Tien's minus 160. Norrie's around plus 140. For the over-under, I see 2.5 for Tien, plus 2.5 for Norrie. There's some juice on the 2.5 for Norrie at around minus 125. Tien minus 2.5 games is plus 105. The over-under, around 23.5 or 22.5. Some juice there on the over. Set spread, Tien in straight sets is plus 170. Norrie in straight sets is plus 330. The over 2.5 sets is around plus 130. Now, they faced off a couple of times on hard court this year, and Tien's actually 2-0 against him. They faced off at Hong Kong last year. Norrie did win in straight sets. This year, though, Tien won both meetings comfortably, beat him in Shanghai about a month ago, and beat him in Acapulco back in February. Both those were in straight sets. Now, I'll point out the last meeting, which was a month ago, ended up going to a breaker in the first set. Norrie did have chances, but he only won 21% of his second serve points. So the second serve wasn't very good. Point is, once again, a reminder, we already have both guys outright, so there's really no reason to bet it. But the question is, will Tien win his first ever ATP title? We saw him lose to Sinner in a final a couple weeks ago. No shame in that. Still made the final. Now he's trying to win his first title. He's very good on hard court. Simply put, both guys, it's kind of like looking in a mirror in a way. They're similar. I think Tien's got a bit more firepower, but either way, both guys are similar. And I think you're going to end up seeing a pretty fun battle. Now, Tien has been good in the head-to-head, which is why he's a decent favorite here at 160. The problem is he hasn't played anybody worth a damn besides Berrettini. I know Berrettini physically is nowhere near where he used to be. For the path so far, Tien has beaten Blanchet in the first round, Ichargue, who was a last-second fill-in for Felix, so he was actually a lucky loser who got a bye into the second round. Berrettini, which went to 3 sets. Berrettini was fine early on, but the point is physically he's been a mess all season, so not a shock Berrettini ran out of gas down the stretch and beat Sacco in the semifinals. So Tien's best wins against Berrettini, and then nobody else. So he's had a pretty easy path. Now, Norrie's been the opposite because he's gone to a third set in every single match, beating Royer, beating Kaza, beating Jacquet, and beating Sonego. So in general, from top to bottom, Norrie's had the better competition up to this point. So you could argue that Tien might end up being either 1, more rested, or 2, a bit overvalued because he hasn't played anybody worth a damn besides Berrettini. So based on that, I do think Norrie, just for reference, is one of the fittest players on tour. So I do think he'll be fine for the course of this match. Think it will be a marathon, though. I think it ends up turning into an absolute war. I like the over in this one. I think both guys can win a set. We've seen Norrie punt sets in every match of the event. Don't really see that changing. Tien, though, we saw him drop a set to the only guy worth a damn on a schedule, which was Berrettini. I think Norrie can win a set as well, so I don't mind the over in this one. For the actual side, I think 160 is too expensive on Tien. I know that he is undefeated against Norrie this season, but bit of nerves differential here. Norrie's won titles before. He beat Alcaraz on clay for a title before. Like, Norrie, I think, is going to be accustomed to the environment. He made the final here last year. Tien, though, still looking for his first title, and I do think you'd argue nerves might play a factor if this gets into the deep waters of a third set. So for me, I said this a couple episodes ago, my pick to win the event was Norrie, and I had both guys pre-tournament. But watching Norrie play against Kaza and the level they were at, I said immediately after that match, Norrie was my pick to win the event, and now Norrie's in the final. So I think Norrie has some value. I think Norrie in 3 is the way to go about it because, once again, Norrie has won every match in the event in 3 sets. So based on that, you might get some extra value if you go for the Norrie in 3 as opposed to the money line at plus 140. For reference, you can get Norrie to win in 3 sets at around, I see plus 390. So that's an option you can use. But once again, I'll go for Norrie for the value, but I prefer the over in this one. Should be fun. Should come down to the wire. And I know Tien's beaten good players this year, beating Medvedev a couple of times, beating Rublev a couple of times. Like, he's been good. I'm not going to ignore that. However, I do think Norrie has looked like he's definitely mispriced. And I do think if Tien would be favored, it should be like minus 120, minus 125. 160 feels pretty aggressive. So I'll go for the dog here for the value. Anyways, can wrap it up for the finals with the actual breakdowns. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, I'm brought to you by our sponsor, which is Athens Fantasy. So you can do fantasy pick'em entries, chance to win 5,000 times your entry, mix and match your different options for different sports. So check out your favorite players, pick their higher or lowers on different stats, and you can make some money. They also have a new offer for customers. Play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. So they're crushing college football, the NFL, and now NBA. They also added college basketball, so check that out. But a reminder, they have a cash prize every week for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets from any model that you built, and you can win $1K. We also have a promo code for a discount with Rhythm. Use the code SGPN25. Or download the app, you get a quarter first month. Download Rhythm once you promo code SGPN25 for a quarter off your first month. Promo code SGPN25. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Finished going through the breakdown of the finals in Athens and in Metz. Time to go on into the lock and dog picks. Now, for the lock, I am going to go back to the Athens match. Give me Djokovic minus the 2.5 games here at minus 118. Not going to get too creative. I know people are mentioning motivation. Yeah, Joker's trying to lose the final. I don't think that really makes any sense. I don't believe in there being more motivation for one person than another in the title match when both guys showed up here. Joker trying to win his first ever title in Athens, and the fact is him living in Greece might provide a little bit of advantage for the actual family that he has, maybe being in attendance. So keep an eye out for that. Musetti might get the spot anyway if Joker does drop out of the ATP finals after the event. We'll see. Point is, though, Joker has been quite good in the event. He's not dropped a set yet. Musetti's dropped a set in 2 of the last 3 matches, and we saw him almost lose to Korda. Fought off a match point there. Musetti's serve can be vulnerable. Joker's has been good in the event. I think Joker's serve should be the main difference between these two guys. Plus, Joker, once again, is 8-1 in the head-to-head. 6 of the 8 wins were in straight sets. 3 meetings on hard court. All of them were straight set wins for Djokovic. I think he ends up winning, but I think you're looking at Musetti, who you could argue will show up and have a purpose to potentially get into the ATP finals. But I think Joker shows up for blood. I think he wins, and I think Musetti's serve lets him down in a big spot. Give me Joker minus the 2.5 here. People are also focusing on the ATP finals part as a positive for Musetti. Could be a negative. We'll see how he handles the environment. We saw him, for example, get injured in Monte Carlo in a very big spot this past year. I do wonder if the nerves will get to Musetti, so we'll see what happens, but I do think the big environment for Musetti could work against him. We'll see. But give me Joker, minus 2.5 games here, minus 118. Better hardcourt player, reasonable price, as my lock for the show. For the dog, going to go back to it. Give me the Norrie match once again, over 2.5 sets at plus 130. We had this for the semis. Going to run it back. It's cashing in every round of the event so far for Norrie. Furthermore, he's lost at least 1 set in 12 of his last 13 matches. Now, Tien has been looking sharp, but he hasn't played anybody besides Berrettini, which did go to a 3rd set. Beat Blanchet, beat Achargu, and ended up beating Sacco in straight sets. All 3 of those guys not worth a damn. Berrettini is actually worth something, and that did go to a 3rd set. So with a decent opponent here, a guy who's top 30 caliber in Norrie, I think Tien is going to struggle a bit more than he's looked so far in the event, and I can see this working out into a very competitive war between these two similar style players. So I'm going to go with the over 2.5 sets once again. Don't fix what isn't broken. So once again, the plays here for the lock and dog. The lock's going to be on Djokovic, minus 2.5 games at minus 118. For the dog, I'm going to go with Norrie and Tien over 2.5 sets at plus 130. And that's going to wrap it up for the show. Now, a reminder that we're going to be back next episode for the final ATP regular event of the season. ATP Tour Finals. We do have the Next Gen Finals about a month after. There will be a break before the Next Gen Finals. But point is, next episode, we'll get into the final event for a lot of star players, or pretty much all the star players. And that's going to wrap it up basically for the season. We'll take about a month off. Then we'll be back for the Next Gen Finals. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, until next time.